Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another segment of Remnant Cancer Support Group meeting. I am so excited about today's meeting. Our meeting is with an amazing couple. This couple, they are leaders at After Christ Christian Center. They are leaders in the community, and they're going to share with us some of the things that they went through as a married couple as a result of an extended family member passing. And so today I want all of my viewers to take notes and to really listen to some of the situations and circumstances that this couple went through. So I'm so excited that they're going to provide great information on how to overcome issues in relationships as a result to someone passing in their family. So today I'm going to welcome you to meet Jermaine and Shay Owens, and I welcome them.
Thank you so much, Deidre, for having us.
You're welcome. I'm so excited to have you guys, and I share with our viewing audience that you guys are an amazing couple. Not only are you guys leaders at the ministry, but you guys are also leaders in the community, and I wanted them to know how important that was to even this very story, because sometimes, you want to hear the individual's background. Even though I hadn't actually prepared this, can you and Shay talk about who you guys are on a personal level? Jermaine, if you can share with us what you do in the community, and Shay, if you can share with us what you do in the community as well.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm coming up on my 20th year as a police officer. It's a job that from a child that I always wanted to do, and to fulfill this, and literally retirement is right around the corner. I'm proud of myself to follow my childhood dream, because a lot of people, they pursue their dreams and they don't reach the end of their dream. But for me, I should say it was a dream I had as a child, and I fulfilled it, and I made a change in my community, and it bettered me as a person.
Excellent.
Yeah. And for me, I cannot say that this was my childhood dream. I wanted to be an ice skater. That was my childhood dream. As I got older and started having kids, I wanted to be a police officer as well. I really did. But then once I started having kids, I realized that I wanted to make sure I came home at night, and being an officer for me just didn't give me the reassurance of that. So just worked a regular 9-to-5 corporate America until one day they was like, nope, we don't need your services anymore.
Okay.
At that point, he and I were married, and really discussed just helping other people. How can we minister and how can we give back? And so I got my certification in becoming a life and relationship coach.
Excellent.
I now run Unscripted Media Group, which is a social media platform and marketing, branding, as well. I also just started another group with Eliza that's called Easy Mommy. So that one is really just for women. It's for ladies only. Those who want to be a mothers, those who are mothers, or those who were mothers and have lost their children. It's kind of just making the things that we go through as moms, mompreneurs, wives, girlfriends, a little bit easier, because we have somebody that really understands the struggles that we go through. So I'm excited. All of those can be found on all social media platforms, of course. So, and my husband will be starting a group that he's excited about, called the Alpha Male. So you can tell him what that group is about.
But yeah, this group is just to uplift and encourage men. My career helped me really want to establish this, because I've seen that there are a lot of boys trapped in a man's body. So our job is to help lift the man up and take his appointed place.
Right. Excellent.
So the alpha male is the head of the group. So the man being the head of the family, that's what we're trying to teach men to do, to be the head, and not be a.
Yeah,
excellent.
it's gonna be great.
That's powerful. You guys are both very, very powerful. I'm grateful for your ministry because those are your ministry. So that is just awesome. So today, we know Remnant Cancer Support Group we usually deal with situations with cancer fighters, survivors, and caregivers. And so today I wanted you guys to both explain as married couples or as a married couple, how you guys dealt with the passing of Jermaine's ex-wife. So my first question posed to you guys is, Jermaine, can you share with us, let's just get a little, backlog before we really get into the story. How did you meet Shay?
Well, hold on. Before we begin that, I want to just clarify, she actually wasn't his ex. So I know with some people who are in this situation where they get very offended, and we definitely don't want to come off offensive.
Understood. I'm sorry.
To her. And so I want to be very sensitive to the fact that he did lose his wife. He was married. Understood. And he is a widower. Isn't it widower for the guy? I believe. So yeah, I just want to be very sensitive to that because she really wasn't an ex. So I do want to pay her that much respect and
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm sorry, and I apologize.
Look, now you can tell how you met this thing right here.
Okay.
So, of course, it was after the passing of my former wife that her and I met. I was on it was a social media app, and wasn't looking for anything. I was just, I was just in lost phase at the time, so I was just scrolling, and she caught my attention. Not so much her face; it was her name at that time because it said "Standing with God as always." And in that moment, which I'll discuss later, I wanted to see why was she standing with God, because I was upset with God at that time when I met her.
Okay.
And I messaged her, not to flirt with her, but to ask her, like, why are you standing with God? What has God done for you?
Yeah.
And, later in this conversation, I'll explain why I was upset with God.
Okay, understood. Okay, my next question for you, Jermaine, is after the passing of your wife, can you explain to the viewers some of the things that you experienced as a result of her passing?
Well, the biggest thing I experienced was chaos. I was in moral confusion because I had faith that she was not going to die from this cancer.
Okay.
So after seeing her practically almost take her last breath, that's when reality hit me, like, she's not coming back.
Okay.
I was immediately thrust into a position of almost being a single parent. Okay. This is not something I expected. I was wondering, like, how and what is my next move? What is my next step?
Okay.
Where do I go from here? What do I do? I'm talking about, it's the most confused I've ever been in my life. So I just, I was just looking to grab onto something, that can just help me get by through the next day. And unfortunately, I didn't really have too many people there in my corner. People will come and check on you, before the funeral, right after the funeral, but after that, people disappear. Yeah. Because, my spirit, my nature, I'm a laughing, joking person. I can laugh and joke about anything. And that gave people the perception that Jermaine is okay. Jermaine is doing good. Jermaine is all right. We don't have to check on him. But deep down inside, I was feeling gray. I was feeling dark. I was feeling lost. I was hurt. I just felt sick.
Wow.
And, I just felt my life slipping away. And to help me cope was bottles and bottles and bottles of alcohol.
Okay.
I've drunk so much to just run my pains and my fears and my aches and my hurts.
Wow.
And my desires of her wanting to come back. I ran all that stuff away with the liquor.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
And I think what a lot of people fail to realize is that when someone is grieving, and they can grieve the loss of a person, they can grieve the loss of a job, a loss of an animal.
Absolutely.
Grief doesn't just, it's not only for the person who loses a person, so like all of these different things that he's talking about, somebody can actually go through that because they lost something that was just important to them.
Absolutely.
And I know, like, he and I have discussed, pretty much in detail things that he's experienced or how he was going through it. And I think for a lot of people that's in that situation, because there is so much chaos around the person that's, sick or in the hospital, he literally, his grieving started long before she was actually gone. You know what I'm saying? And so, right. And so it really looked like, how when you see somebody and it's like, that they want to cry, but they don't cry because they're trying to be strong, but they're still going through something emotionally on the inside. And so what happens is with that is we tend to bottle that feeling up, and we begin to mask. So like his drinking became his happy place, became that mask that he needed to cover up all of the old scars, all of the residue, and all of the confusion that was going on around, her passing, because they didn't have any kids together, but he had 2 children before her and she had 3.
Okay.
So after she passed, he immediately went into being a single parent of her 2 boys, which were still living in the home.
Okay.
At that time, they were what ages?
They were 14, 15.
14 and 15. So
Okay.
that's that pivotal age where they really need their mom.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah,
I just want to tell Jermaine, I'm grateful for his transparency, because a lot of times, a lot of men don't know how to be transparent in moments like this. You know what I mean? We do mask it. A lot of times we don't tell the brutal truth that, alcohol may have been a factor at the time. So I'm grateful for that transparency that you just shared with our viewers, because we mask a lot of stuff by not talking about it, not dealing with it. So I'm glad he shared that with us today. As from the grief, but as a couple, what were some of the things that you guys had to deal with as a newly married couple? What were some of the things you had to deal with as a result of newly married at that time?
Ooh, let me go first on that one.
You sure you're gonna go first? It was a lot.
How much time do we got?
It was well, let me first say this. When I met Jermaine, like I said, it was kind of like on social media networking type of app, communications app type of thing. When we met, again, like he said, we weren't trying to date one another, because I had just broken up with somebody and I was like, God, if you give me 2 years to just focus on you, that's all I want to do. Like I said, he said, my name on there was standing with God as always. So his very first question was, how long have you been standing with God? And I was like, on and off for a little bit, but right now I'm fully focused on him. So in my eyes, he wasn't coming on to me. I wasn't coming on to him. We were not trying to get with one another. But boy, if someone had told us the hell and back that we would have faced trying to be good for one another, if we allowed people to dictate how our relationship should be, we would have never been married, at all. And then we dated long distance. So we met long distance. So we had that obstacle on top of all the other things. So I'm gonna go ahead and let him start.
Okay.
Some of the biggest, I would say the biggest obstacle was betrayal for me. Because with my former wife, I would go to their house for dinner weekly, and we would sit there and have conversations. We would talk. They were good with me being single, but I'm a person, I honor the marriage that I had with her. I love marriage. Yes. And I did desire to be married again. But in my mind, it was at least going to be 3 years before I even thought about a relationship. But
Okay.
not the plan that God had.
Yeah.
So they were fine long as I was single. And once they found out that I was dating and got engaged, oh man, I turned into public enemy number one. I was
Oh
talked about,
no.
I was ridiculed. They had no
No.
other ammunition against me, but he's engaged now. I didn't
Mm,
cheat, I didn't abuse, I didn't mislead, I didn't treat the children wrong. I treated the boys as my own. I did everything that I could do
okay.
to make sure everybody was good. But I was just blackballed just for getting engaged. And they felt like
Wow.
I needed their permission to propose to her.
Mm,
It was really, really bad. And then from the person coming into this situation, you know, thinking I'm coming in, I'm going to have an extended family, because I think the very first time I met the boys, in which he had guardianship over them. When I first met them, when I say it was such a genuine love that I had for them, like I was like,
yeah.
I'm not trying to be their mom. I can never replace their mom. But what I am going to be is a mother figure, and what I am going to be is someone who supports them and pushes them as a mother figure would. And we were
Yeah.
all great. We legit were great. We all went on a cruise the very first time I had ever met them. Like I said, we dated long distance, and
Okay.
we hugged at the airport because they were flying and I was driving back to, you know, where I was going. And when we hugged, we had people walking by us saying, "Aw," because it was like legit tears. They were crying. It was like that.
Yeah.
We have somebody else that we can look to as a mother figure. But the problem ran into it when other people started getting into their ears, and the fact that her and I have some similarities, right?
Okay.
So depending on how my hair is, I did in some ways favor her. We would say certain things that were alike. When I would come to visit them, I would cook certain meals and it would be like, oh my God, my mom cooks just like that. So it was a lot of comparison to her, which was a little bit hard for me as well. But I was like, okay, well, maybe she's just a great woman. That's how I see myself, as a great woman. And I never tried to compare
Absolutely.
her. But what I remember somebody saying to him, he was on speakerphone one time and they said, "Oh, you're trying to replace her." Almost trying to get the exact replica of who she was to him. And I was so offended and I was so taken back. And the people that he considered to be close and considered to be family, I was so excited to get ready to meet them. Like, hey, I'm coming in. I'm going to do him right. I'm going to do the boys right. I literally got the nastiest looks as if I was dating their man. You know what I'm saying? It was the looks of up and down. It was the looks of just utter, almost disgust from the people that he called family or friends. You know, friends.
Wow.
I've had people that literally befriended me on social media to go back and see, like, you know, on relationship status, you can change it. And so, yeah, I had just gotten out of a relationship, but what happened was they went back in to see when that previous relationship had started and insinuated that I was dating him, which would have been at the time that he was going through that with her as she was trying. So they tried to say that we were cheating with one another. How could y'all get engaged so early? When it's only been, you know, from when they found out about me, and now I had been around, but since they found out about me, it was like, oh, how can you get married so quickly to somebody? You must have already been dating her. And again, all of this stuff, this negativity is being fed into the boys. You know what I'm saying? So that made it just that much harder. So really and truly, after we got married, because I didn't really move here until I think a month before we got married. So after we got married, let's just say that the boys are no longer with us. They felt it best to go with her side of the family, which is their choice. We still said, we want to be in your lives. We still want you to come over. We still want you to hang out with us. Like, we get it. But at the end of the day, I fell in love with his heart, because I'm like, it takes a different type of man. I'm not going to say a real man, but it takes a different type of man, because every man cannot take care of somebody else's kid that's not theirs.
This is true. Very much so true.
He was going through hell and high water with them, because he's an officer and he was dealing with, all of these other things that come with teenage boys. And we don't really go into detail, but I fell in love legit with his heart.
Okay.
And so when they started to come against him, oh, Mama Bear rose up. Wifey Bear rose up, I should say. Like, you're not going to talk negative about him, because that's not who he is. Like, anybody who knows Jermaine knows he has a giving and caring heart. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So it was
absolutely.
It was very, even from some of his own family, I would say that I personally received pushback. Not pushback as in them being vocal about it, but it was kind of like that shade that looked at you sideways.
The
nonverbals spoke way louder to me in the beginning, which again, some of them, from what I heard, have thought, or the way it came out, was that maybe I was coming in and it was too soon for him, so maybe I was going to take advantage of him. Maybe I was going to use him, which could be the case, but at least sit down and have a conversation with me first before you decide what kind of person I am just because I'm in the picture. It was his decision. I didn't pursue him.
Absolutely. You guys have shared so much concerning that was a lot of meat and potatoes, but I do want to say this, that I think a lot of times, even in this type of situation, how sometimes people don't really know what to do in the event that this type of thing happens. So it has a lot, and I know, Shay, you're a coach. So emotionally, a lot of people, when someone's in, Jermaine, I know you know this, when they've been diagnosed, or the fact you was with your wife when she was diagnosed, you don't know where your feelings are. You don't know what's going on in your head until that moment comes and you're thinking, you know what I'm saying? So I'm thinking that a lot of that you guys had to deal with is irrational behavior, because nobody really knows kind of like what to do, if that makes sense.
No, I
and so
yeah.
And so I'm quite sure that was probably some of the effects of what y'all felt. They didn't know what to do, so they only knew what they knew to do, which is probably not the right thing to do, but nonetheless, I think it had what I'm saying. And I know, Shay, you're great at breaking that whole thing down about the emotions. As we go along, can you guys share with me, how were the children affected? And I know you guys have already kind of shared like some of the things that the family did as a result of them being affected, but how were the children affected in this circumstance?
Well, it was a unique situation because we had the faith.
Well, so we had a family that was blended 3 ways.
Wow.
We had 3 different sets of parents that we were blending a family.
Wow.
Yeah. So he had 2 biological, 2 he had ship over, and then I have 4. So I know for the ones that are still currently in the picture, well, I could speak for my 2 youngest, right? Or actually 4 of mine, because my oldest got to know them as well. The 2 that are no longer in the picture, we looked at them. I'm going to speak for myself and I'll let him speak for himself. But I know for me, I looked at them as those could be my sons. I'm not their mom, but I call them my sons. And so I looked at us as one big Brady Bunch type of family. And I know that it took a very long time for, I think even the oldest girls still talk to them off and on, right? My oldest girls would do certain things for them. I have my blood family because they were around for the engagement, they were around for the wedding. I still have my family members asking how are they doing. All of us from my end accepted them. There was no, that's his, why are you dealing, like it was none of that. It was literally my children, biological children, called them their brothers.
Okay.
You know, and bring them around as though they were brothers, maybe away at college. That's how they still look at them. I know, like, our youngest daughter still looks at them in that way. Like, if she's asked how many siblings she has, oh, they are included. And this has been 3 years now since they really haven't been around. And I know that she still looks at them, you know, as one. I think our youngest boy does the same. You know, he may ask about them from time to time as well. So,
yeah, it's it was great. It's not just allow children to be children. You know, their hearts are innocent, their minds are innocent. You know, I remember the youngest boy, who's no longer in the picture. He came to us and said, "Yeah, even though my biological mom is not here, God loves me enough that He sent me another mom." And what would they call you? They will call you
Mimi.
They said, I'm not gonna call you mom,
but I'll call you Mimi.
Because that's a closer thing to mom. Because
Right.
I still want to get my mom respect.
Yeah.
Wow.
So they, you know, I would have weekly meetings with them, and I went to them about. No, I'm sorry. They initially came to me. It's like, that's gonna be your wife.
This is before we got married.
Yes.
So yeah.
They said, you know, that's gonna be your wife. And I said, you know, y'all okay with that? And we had a talk. That's like, man, she's the one for you. We like her. She's good.
Yeah.
I showed them the ring. Oh man, they were happy. They were excited.
Yeah.
You know, it was bad. So when I told them about the proposal, they had their phones out. They was recording the whole thing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful.
You see them jumping and smiling in the background.
They were so, you would have thought they were like biological children,
Yes.
even at the reception, you know, and to be there, right? We drove down to Florida. We were all in the van together, you know, from Michigan to Florida. And we all had, when I say the best time, that was the best time ever. And although we knew that they weren't going to be living with us, we could have never forecasted that we would be having this conversation and they wouldn't even be in our lives right now. Like, it is definitely different.
They would still be in the picture if it wasn't for the negativity. If
of the extended family on the other end.
If the adults would have been in their feelings and emotions and looked out for the best interest, because they knew that they didn't know her so much, but they knew I had the best interest for the boys.
Right.
You know, I did what I could. I provided for them the best way I could, but their feelings, emotions. You're getting married, and that's not fair. You should still be single.
And you're pushing them out. You know, they thought that I was gonna be like Cinderella. Was it Cinderella, where the evil stepmom came in and treated them so bad? And it literally was that kind of talk. Like, oh, he's gonna forget about you. You know, he's gonna push you away. She's gonna come in with her kids, and that's all he's gonna focus on. And I'm like, really? Because last time I checked, I was making my own coin. Okay.
Right.
So I'm not coming in to do anything but help you to succeed. I surprised them one time, flew up here, we went to their games, you know, and it was just excitement. You know, everything was exciting. But like he was saying, the one thing about any type of separation in families, not just divorce, not just anytime that you get kids together and they want other siblings and they hold on to that, you have to allow them to kind of go in. They have to kind of see it for themselves, right? We didn't tarnish the relationship. The ones that are no longer around made a decision not to be around.
Understood.
You know, as well. And I think that, you know, men tend not to deal with certain things. And I know that a huge part of Jermaine was left with those boys. You know, because for me it was hard for a while because I had only been in their life a little bit over a year before, you know, they decided to leave.
Wow.
It hurt and it stung, but it was different. You know, for
Yeah.
him, he tried to say, you know, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. When really, anybody who's with somebody, you know that other person, you know your spouse, your significant other. And I can just look
Yeah.
and know that a part of him was no longer there because that was something that he yearned and desired for. Now, the one thing I can say is that there were certain things that they were going through that
Okay.
they would ask to reach back out to him, but they would never take the initiative to make the phone call.
Understood. You
Yeah.
guys have been through so much. I'm just thinking about these first couple of questions you guys answered. I'm over. I don't know if you guys are overwhelmed, but I'm overwhelmed. I'm like, wow. But what's so amazing about your story, and I mean, not that it's amazing, but I'm quite sure something very similar to this. What happens is a lot of times nobody wants to talk about it. And what's so awesome about you and your husband sharing is this happens quite often in relationships. I mean, Shay, you brung up, you know, you can lose a dog, you can lose a loved one, you can lose. However, there's always chaos when something happens unexpectedly. You know what I mean? So I'm very grateful for you guys sharing. I do have two other questions after all you guys have been through, because it sounds like some portions of it was good and then other portions were bad. But after all you guys have been through, okay, do you believe as a couple, as a result of Jermaine's wife passing, do you believe this is how she kind of wanted things to kind of go down? Do you know what do you guys think, you know, or what do you guys think separately? All these different things that happen with all of the other extended family. How do you think, do you think she would have been like, "Oh my goodness, I can't believe this happened," or, you know, what's your thoughts?
You know, first of all, we never would have thought that this would have even been a conversation because, again, our faith was she wasn't going anywhere. God was going to heal her. God was going to bring her through this. Um, I just really think that she would have been, you know, disgusted with the way she's saying certain things playing out. You know, is
Okay.
she loved her children and she wanted the best for her children, but to see that her children were being manipulated, you know,
Okay.
she was a woman of God, but to see
Yes.
where that people that she looked up to in her family were showing their true colors, I think she would have been truly bothered by that. And I think, you know, she would have been hurt.
Oh,
I don't think that anybody wants the worst for somebody else, right? If you truly
absolutely.
love them, you should genuinely want the best. But I think that because it was so much faith in living
Okay.
that sometimes we forget to say, Lord, let thy will be done. Right? And so the Lord's will was done. All things work together for the good. And all of that great stuff. And yes, you have faith in areas, but it's
Yes.
also, God, I want this thing, but I also want your will to be done. And his will was this, her assignment was done. What she
Yeah.
needed to do here was done. And I think that in that, sometimes as believers, we forget in the preparation process.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
We forget to make sure that those left behind, because okay, not even speaking of someone who's been diagnosed with cancer or any disease in life,
Yeah.
period. We're
Yeah.
married. We have no diseases between us. Everybody in our family seems healthy, but God forbid, should I
Yes.
leave this earth tomorrow,
Absolutely.
he knows where all of the papers are. He knows where the life insurance is. We've discussed in detail what should happen with the kids. We've discussed, I want him to be happy. Now, of course, I joke around and be like, okay, go ahead and give it to somebody else if you want to. I'm coming back. You know, I joke around like that. And I also feel that this is my last marriage, you know, so
Right.
God, you know, takes him away from me. I do feel like I've loved and I loved hard and I was loved. And I think
Yes.
that for me, I would try and fulfill my purpose in whatever more God has for me. But really and truly, who wants to be alone?
Absolutely.
No one.
Yes.
It doesn't mean you have to
Absolutely.
remarry. It doesn't mean you just want someone that understands
Yeah.
that thing. I never thought that I would meet someone, especially as he's a little bit younger than I never thought that I would meet somebody who is widowed. You know
Right.
what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
That for me has always been my biggest fear in being married, is the fact that maybe one day God would take my husband away from me. And this before I met him, I always had that thought. But if I live my life in fear, and that goes for fear in anything, fear in business, fear in friendships,
Absolutely.
fear in relationships, you're going to lose out. But I definitely feel like you must be prepared for the what ifs, because it's not a time, it's not
Yeah.
a matter of if we die, but when.
Absolutely.
I would
Absolutely.
never be so naive. I would say to the person that is going through it though, to get the proper help afterwards, or even while you're going through it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when we met each other, both of us were in a broken state,
Yeah.
and we thought we were each other's, well, we were each other's happy place for a very long time, and we leaned on one another. But what happens is, because I never really deal with certain things, or he never really deals with certain things, when other things begin to arise in the relationship that causes a little bit of rocky road,
Mm-hmm.
then
Yes.
you have this big explosion, because all of those other emotions and all of those other things that you never chose to deal with. So looking back on it, I wish that both of us, I wish I would have talked to someone on how to date someone that is grieving.
Excellent.
I
Excellent.
wish that I had taken more time to make sure that um, I really understood what he may be going on for longer, you know, because
Yeah.
my healing came in the midst of prayer, and I knew what kind of wife I wanted to be and all these things. And my husband is an amazing husband, and I will never
Yeah.
take that away from him, an amazing father. But there are some things that I think that because I became his happy place, that and he's, you know, most men don't share,
Right.
they're not as in touch, I should say, with their feelings. Um, that there's some areas that, and correct me if I'm wrong, that he needed to deal with. Really,
Right.
maybe
Right.
I shouldn't have been in the picture as much, or said, hey, let's continue to go to therapy, or let's continue to go to counseling after we got married, or after we were really involved in a relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. You guys, Shay, you bring up some really good points. And that's why I said I was grateful for Jermaine's transparency, because there are a lot of men out there that wouldn't even share half of what he shared this evening about what you guys have. Is a lot of us deal with pain. I'm a breast cancer survivor. I didn't have a husband. But the impact of how your family deals with their issues, their emotions, and then the individual, how they're dealing with their emotions and their feelings. Sometimes we don't want to reach out and get that additional assistance to help us in the hurt places that we're hurting in as a result of somebody being diagnosed. But I want to say this to both of you guys, because technically you're both coaches, right? So I know, Jermaine, you're on that path to help men. And so what, as a couple, because y'all are power couples, but as a couple, what would you share with another couple who has been through something very similar of what you guys have been through? How would you what would you give them, like, so that they can stay together?
I would say through this journey, you got to have God in the midst of chaos. And I
Mm.
mean this, you will not survive the test if
Wow.
you do not have God. Your marriage, your relationship, your whatever you got with this other person, it's going to
Yeah.
fall apart.
Absolutely.
I'm the first to admit, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now if it wasn't for God, because
Wow.
we've been tested, and we were able to take things to God to get our healing. And we're still walking through our healing. You know,
Yeah.
we're not a finished product.
Mhm.
You know, we're still walking this thing out on a daily basis. And God is the base, the foundation, the covering, the hedge, the everything in our marriage. Is nowhere that I prefer to go without him. And one thing I do love about my wife, she would not let me leave in the morning before I say a prayer over our home, over our family, over our marriage, over our health, over our bodies. Is I believe that keeps out so many attacks. It closes doors to things. It lifts us up. It inspires us. It gives us ideas about how to make a marriage better. God constantly talks to us, and we're able to influence one another through what God tells us.
Yeah, and not somebody to think that we are holier than thou, right?
Right.
Seek help. If you know that you're going through some things, it may be something that you're just dealing with. And, I know for me, I've woken up on the wrong side of the bed sometimes.
Yeah.
And yeah, we have our foundation. We know who God is. God is our foundation. But in marriage, in relationships, and ones that are serious, sometimes you forget that very thing. So it's good to have somebody to hold you accountable, right? It's good to we have our pastors, love Apostle and Mama Lois, Pastor Lois of After Christ Christian Center. Absolutely love them. We do have some really good people in our corner. Every coach needs a coach. And just because you're seeking help in an area, it doesn't mean that, oh, it's turmoil or it's horrible and things like that. No, it is good to just sometimes just talk things out, just to see, make sure I'm on the right path, make sure that the way I'm thinking, I should be thinking this way. Not to say that somebody else can tell you that thing, but sometimes it takes a more mature, for us, Christian, someone who is walking that thing out, because you can't tell your business to everybody. One thing,
that's for sure.
When we got married, we said, keep people out of our business. There's nothing, I'm not getting beat. He ain't getting beat, although he does knock me out at night sometimes. He be sleeping, girl, that hand just come on down. He be tearing me up at night sometimes.
Y'all fun.
It's not
amen.
Where, and have fun. I would say, I think that right now we're in a season of trying to remember what fun looked like, because work became so stressful, starting businesses became so stressful, our different parenting styles, the way we communicate, all of these other stressors, that you almost forget to have fun. You forget to laugh. Like today, it's been a while. We danced to our first dance, just here in the house. There's here. And it's in those moments
good
that you kind of remember why you got married and what you hold on to, because you're going to have those hard conversations. You're going to feel uneasy. You're going to feel like the person is against you. But if you truly marry the person that God placed in your life, then there's a difference. There's a huge difference there.
Yeah. Huge difference. You know what? I'm so excited you guys allowed me. I'm so excited. I mean, I don't know if y'all really know the excitement level that I'm having at this moment, but because you guys are so powerful and you were so transparent on this because again, a lot of times we don't hear these type of things. A lot of people won't ability to open up. And because we all belong to a healing and deliverance ministry, we understand that you got to talk about stuff in order to get through some things. So I just want to thank you both, Jermaine and Shay, for being a part of Remnant Cancer Support Group on this evening. I am quite sure this video is going to definitely help some married couples, and I hope you guys leave all your information so that individuals can reach out to you guys. I really believe, and I'm going to say this, and I really do believe it is the soul, that you guys are going to help a lot of married couples.
Amen. Receive
Yes.
that. Amen. And
Yes.
to clearly, our information, you know, is up there on the screen right now, but they can also go to the website, which is www.coachingbtw.com, or reach out 313-459-5613, because again, seeking coaching services is not just for the broke and not just for the person going through something, but also for the ones that, you know, want to be prepared for what life will or may throw at them. Also, just to set goals, like to understand setting the small goals and achieving those small goals will ultimately help you reach your bigger goal. You know, I know that with his alpha male group that he'll also be working with guys who have lost someone or who is going through that whole struggle. So it's definitely important to stay connected, know who you're connected to, you know, and we appreciate the fact that you've given us this opportunity to even really share, because someone can look at us from the outside and never know the ins and outs about what we've gone through. But it is definitely worth the fight. And I say worth it, you know, because we're still in the process of going through life. Life is still happening. And but I wouldn't want to do it with anybody else, seriously.
Amen. Amen. Thank you guys so much for being a part of Remnant Cancer Support Group this evening. Jermaine, blessings. Shay, blessings. And we'll talk again.
Thank you, Deidre. Bye.